Good morning. Good morning, Priya, to podcast number three, I think. Yes, three. Today we're discussing blackness in theater and how the West was won. Now, this is something that I, as a Scottish immigrant, do not have a lot of experience in, actually. Even as a history student, I don't actually know and didn't know a lot about this period of American history, this cowboy period, and how prolific it was in Hollywood. I mean, my word, like these spaghetti westerns and the amount of different like the entire area of and category of movie history and theater history that it really does hold. It's kind of like country music. It has a big grasp of the market of entertainment, and you don't even really realize it until you're at a place that focuses on it. But I think I was really shocked to learn about how prolific cowboy culture was and still is in in America and in our culture, knowing that how kind of fucked up it is. I never knew that America and North America so actively tried to wipe their history of I think specifically the exclusion of the black cowboys. The historical presence of black cowboys in the American West is often overlooked or downplayed in popular media, including greatly theater. By excluding or downplaying the contributions of black cowboys, theater may unintentionally contribute to the erasure of black history and reinforce the false notion that cowboy culture was exclusively a white phenomenon. And that was just one quote that I have here from a black artist on the opinion of the use of the West still in modern culture. But I think that this is a very important topic to discuss. The West was a very divided time and a very divided period. It's based on the division of white people, settlers, and the indigenous people and black peoples of of the original community. And I mean, in fact, if you think about it, the Wild West, we often romanticize that it's like this golden age of America where anyone could do what they needed, and if you need and like the saloon was there and the government wasn't real, like tax wasn't really there, and it was just this perfect land of the free. But you really think about it, and it was not this perfect land of the free. And you go back and you watch some of those old spaghetti westerns and old things that we've based so much of our culture on, like they blatantly and without fear paint indigenous peoples as basically inhuman. And like the protagonists of those things would paint black people and indigenous people as the antagonists. And honestly, after this I'm recording this the day of our pod our the day you did this lecture, and I went home and watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I was honestly mortified at the fact that Clint Eastwood was was basically playing the white savior only to white people. Like he was playing basically a character that automatically the antagonists were ethnic minorities, people that were seen as dirty, lesser, and inhuman, and basically he cleansed like towns of those peoples, and that's what the main plot point of many um, of these old westerns and cowboy westerns are. There are the ones that are based off of, say, expansion and traveling out to the prairies, and are often about the spread of and starting of America. But even in these contexts, it's still white settlers that are conquering American soil, and even those stories, while not inherently about murdering the indigenous peoples, are still about the founding of the country, and therefore the kicking out of the original homeowners, if you will. And I think it's important to acknowledge, at least acknowledge for a sentence, in these productions that we put on, these many, many productions that we put on about I'm just going to pull up my list for you here. Peace, River, God, Country, and Cowboy, The Thursday Only and Secrets, The Cowboy. Like, these are all original theater. These are all original theater pieces, and all of them sort of whitewash the story and paint it as, and they set the context as being almost where they don't want you to think about it, like, of course they were the first peoples here. No, there's no other peoples here. Yes, these other peoples must be the bad guys because they've encroached on our cities and towns, and oh well, we got to take care of them, when really it's all this underlying plot point of domination and a period of time of division. And I think that it's time we stop pretending and romanticizing this period of time and romanticizing these peoples where we really have a lack of nuance and historical context. We really just are displaying like these rangers that would execute innocent peoples and execute like cullings of citizens just because they were like the other, and because we've created cowboys as being like, we've coined them as being this superior part of American history and a superior American people, that we've almost completely forgotten the context at which they were superior. It was because they were, they to quote one of the presidents of America, they spoke softly and carried a bigger stick, and were able to force peoples to either submit to the way that they wanted their country to look, or which was by marginalizing the indigenous peoples and black peoples to slavery camps, and kicking them out to basically inhospitable areas of land, and as we see, wiping out and excluding them from history, as we see in modern context pieces of the Wild West. Prolific cowboys who were of color, whether that be Spanish, black, or indigenous, are completely erased, even if they are some of the most prolific bounty hunters, rangers, and cowboys from the time period. Completely wiped out, because they didn't want marginalized peoples to be examples of what was supposed to be the golden age of America. And many Americans don't want to think of the golden age of America being different peoples. And I think that's why this hasn't changed. Why spaghetti westerns and all of this horrible things that I've now learned about, that is so rooted in North American culture, it hasn't changed because at the end of the day, the basis of people don't want it to change. They want to keep that illusion, that coined perfect period of independence and no tax and real Christianity and real whiteness, and it was the pure time of America, and it's just disgusting. I honestly, Priya, I don't know how I'm gonna watch so much of Hollywood, and like Home on the Ranch and Gone with the Wind and all of these very prolific American films that basically made up many of the techniques that we know of now. Like spaghetti westerns have created some of the most important cinematic like rules that were ever made, like pan shots and long shots, and that classic where you show both ends and they slowly walk down, like that would go on to be in The Matrix, Star Wars, like the biggest films of all time. Like all of that came from spaghetti westerns. And knowing now that that same genre that birthed so many tactics of cinema, I wonder if that's why Hollywood and cinema and theater is still as divided and marginalized as it is. Because we based much of our golden age off of this horrible period. But that's just my conjecture and theory. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention, my lord. I feel like I could have gone my entire life never realizing that there was this like 50-year period of entertainment where white people were just shitting on black people. 50 years, try many hundreds of years, but you know what I mean. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, thank you. Bye.